It's now confirmed Ecuador did, in fact, purposefully cut off Julian Assange's, that's the head of WikiLeaks, obviously, his access to the internet, and they did do it specifically because of those leaks. That was fairly obvious, but now it has been confirmed by a statement from the Ecuadorian government, which reads, Ecuador granted political asylum to Julian Assange in 2012 based on his legitimate fears of political persecution because of his journalistic activities as the editor of WikiLeaks. In recent weeks, WikiLeaks has published a wealth of documents impacting on the U.S. election campaign. This decision was taken exclusively by that organization. The government of Ecuador respects the principle of non-intervention in the internal affairs of other states. It does not interfere in external electoral processes, nor does it favor any particular candidate. Accordingly, Ecuador has exercised its sovereign right to temporarily restrict access, blah, 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 to the internet, obviously. This does not prevent the WikiLeaks organization from carrying out its journalistic activities. I'm not entirely sure is true. Ecuador, in accordance with its tradition of defending human rights and protecting the victims of political persecution, reaffirms the asylum that they granted to him and reiterates its intention to safeguard his life and physical integrity until he reaches a safe place. Ecuador's foreign policy responds to sovereign decisions alone and does not yield to pressure from other states, which is shorthand for we either were not influenced by or will not cop to being influenced by John Kerry or any other representative of the U.S. government in shutting down his access to the internet.
I don't believe that. Okay. So
there might have been some influence.
So, okay. Now, number one, I'm a big supporter of WikiLeaks, and I've interviewed Julian Assange. She's interviewed me, but that doesn't. But the reason we have that relationship is because I'm a big supporter of WikiLeaks, and I believe that some of the information that they've leaked about the U.S. government is paramount. I think the witch hunt against Julian Assange is insane. He should never be in that embassy in the first place. Now, having said that, are they leaking this with curious timing? I mean,
see, I don't even. They are, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, that's like when people are saying, well, why are the Trump accusers coming out right now? Which is complicated, and there are various psychological reasons why they might. But if it's true, I don't especially care when they come out. We should know the truth. I mean, look, if he had this data and could have released it during the primary to perhaps give Bernie Sanders a slightly better chance, that I think makes sense, not just from our point of view, but from his stated point of view. For me, it's more the frustration that I have is more that I don't know why this organization that has access to apparently every server on the planet, for some reason, has no ability or interest in finding out anything about any of the other candidates. Only Hillary Clinton. And in fact, on its Twitter, has specifically asked for information about Hillary Clinton and seems to have no influence whatsoever in finding out any information about Donald Trump. Which, if your goal is transparency and making sure that people know what's really going on, you would also be interested in the person who has a 10 to 20% chance of winning the election at this point. That's my frustration.
No, it's fishy. Look, let's keep it real. So, now New York Times in the past has admitted, even on this show, many years ago, that they held a story till after the 2004 election. One of the stories they held was how Don Rumsfeld knew that we had bin Laden cornered in Bora Tora in Afghanistan and chose not to send in troops. Amazing story. It got very little coverage. Part of the reason is they released it right after the election, after George Bush had gotten reelected. And James Risen on this program said they held it because they didn't want it to be political. That is a terribly political decision. They should not have held it. They should run it with it as soon as they have it. So, if WikiLeaks just got this information, I am not by any stretch saying they should hold it until after the election. No, run it when you got it and you've verified it and edited and done all the due diligence that you have. If they had it earlier and chose to run it in October, that's where it gets fishy. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there was the information earlier. Now there's the Podesta emails. I don't know for sure when they had what, but I did a video on my personal channel months and months ago when he was saying, I have an October surprise. I have enough that's going to sink Hillary Clinton, or I think he said at that point, get her arrested, which implies that he had access to some information. Yeah, again, I think if it's true, for instance, a lot of people, the whole Russia thing and everything, I don't know where the information comes from and whether it's valid are combined into one evaluation. It could be from whoever and still be true. It seems like all the documents are true. If they're true and if they have policy implications, I think they should be released. But yeah, he is waiting until it can hurt Hillary Clinton more than, I think that's the focus more than illuminating and aiding and educating the American people. It's more about her than about America. Well, see, that's why I'm worried about it, because I've supported WikiLeaks because I think they're in the business of journalism and not in the business of picking sides. And so I don't want them picking sides. I want them to hack, if they have it, Trump's as well.
Or at least pretend to give the aura.
No, don't
even.
pretend to. Don't
Release
pretend to.
10 emails.
Either do it or don't do it.
No, I mean actually do it, but do 10 emails.
No, but that's
emails.
what I'm worried about, guys. Look, there is decent evidence. Can I judge who's right on the tech of it? I'm not a tech guy, I don't. But there is decent circumstantial evidence that the Russians are the ones doing the hacking. Now, I know some people are so blinded. If you say the word Russia, they're like, no, you're a Hillary shill or whatever the hell.
It's because they think that if the information came from Russia, that you're implying it's not accurate.
No, and I'm not implying that at all.
We're not. I think it's real.
Information is perfectly accurate, right?
Yeah.
It can come from Russia and be accurate,
true.
Okay? So, but if Russia has a vested interest in attacking one candidate and not the other, and possibly because they lent him money, for Christ's sake, that's not journalism. Then we're picking sides and hurting the reputation of an organization I believe in and has done some great work.
That should be above politics.
Yeah.
And be about policy and truth.
And I get that the Democrats have targeted Assange, and Obama's been terrible to him. Hillary Clinton promises to be terrible to him. I get that if I was in his situation, I wouldn't be particularly fond of that. If he thinks Trump is going to be better,
that seems crazy.
I'd have a different take on that. But that doesn't matter. If you're in the business of doing this for journalistic reasons, you can't make it personal.
Yeah.
You've got to be even-handed in this. So if they held information, and there is some evidence that he had it earlier, and that he did not release it, and you're trying to inflict maximum political damage, well, that's not the right way to do journalism. So you should be a little troubled by it. Now back to Ecuador.
Yeah.
Look, they're the only ones protecting him. And so they're in a tight spot. Do I believe them that America didn't pressure them? No way. I don't believe them.
Yeah.
I'm sure America pressured them, right?
Maybe they wanted to do it anyway, but there was definitely a couple of emails sent, which we'll probably get later on.
Here's my best guess on that, which is that Ecuador was like, hey, man, we're protecting you. We're looking out for you. America's breathing down our neck here. And they have a point, right? So I'm not going to keep taking further risks, not just to protect you, but so you can go on your political mission here.
Yeah.
So I think that he pissed them off, and Ecuador said, well, we have power over you, so we're going to exercise that power. Do I want them to exercise that power? No, I want him to be able to do his work, right?
Yeah, I think for two reasons they should not have cut off his access to the internet. One, it undercuts what they're standing for by protecting Julian Assange in the first place. This is, at best, attempted censorship. And so I think that morally, I think he should have access to the internet. And then just pragmatically, if your goal is to stop the intervention in the election or whatever, it's not going to work. I'm sure that WikiLeaks can release the information without Julian Assange personally being able to log into AOL. I think that they're going to be able to do it just fine. So it just makes you look bad. It makes it look more, which seems to be the case, that Julian Assange is being targeted by various governments to try to shut him down and to protect Hillary Clinton. So I think that for both of those reasons, morally and pragmatically, they should not have cut off his access to the internet, even if the stuff that they said in this statement is true.